In order to edit this template, the first thing you will need is to import your logo. If you go in your project window right over here and double click here, this will bring up this destination file, and you will navigate to your logo and simply double click your file, your logo file, to import, like so. And then inside your edit folder, you can go up top to logo holder composition, double click to access this composition, delete the previous logo that was there, then simply drag and drop your new logo inside the composition. Select your logo, press S for scale, and you can readjust the scale as needed. This will carry over to your final render, so it's very important that you scale the logo inside this composition, and you might need to also reposition this logo and just make sure everything is nice and centered. If you go in your render comp, access this render composition over here from your second folder, which is the render folder, double click to access the composition, which is the first one that's opened when you open the project file. Alright, and here it is, and here you can see your logo in action. Let's switch this to a half resolution just so it works faster, and here you can see and get an idea of how this will look in your final render. If you go back in your logo holder, you can readjust the scale, for example, and if you go back, you can see now that the scale is readjusted. So I'm just gonna undo that. You can gonna get an idea of how this works. The second thing you will need to edit is your tagline, and which is this text over here. So if you access tagline holder, here you have a text layer, and simply double click this layer and choose your new text. So just choose your new text, and this font, by the way, is called it's Arial, and it should come with the standard version of Windows. And you can see here that this has some animation, so it's important that you don't delete this layer to create a new one, as this will erase the animation. So just edit this existing layer by double clicking, like so, and this will preserve the animation. Go back to your render and check everything out. Alright, so this should be fine for now. We can swap in some render settings here. So the first layer here is your tagline layer, and if you go to effect controls up here at the top, if you don't have this panel, just press F3. This will bring it up, and also you can access these settings if you choose this drop down icon over here, and here you have all the settings. You can see that the first one is logo position, and this has 2 keyframes, and basically these keyframes control this upwards movement of the logo. So for example, if you change your logo and somehow you need it to move a little more towards the top of the composition, you can simply select the second keyframe, make sure the timeline is set to your second keyframe. Alright, and you can simply decrease this value here, and you can see now that the logo jumps more towards the top of the composition. So it creates a higher leap, and this is in case you have a bigger logo or you're using a wide logo or whatever reason you may have. Let's undo this. And we can also control the position of this tagline. So if I modify this value here for the tagline position, you can see now that we can drag it up or down. And if you want to move it more towards the right or left, you can simply do this through your composition, through your tagline holder composition. So if I switch my selection tool here, I can simply drag the text over, and if I go back, you can see that this is adjusted in the render comp. Let's undo this. You can also choose, of course, to not use any tagline at all. So if I disable tagline, this will make my tagline invisible, and now I don't need the logo position animation. So I can grab these keyframes, delete them, and let's just make sure that our logo is centered. So now I can recenter my logo, and you don't have a tagline, and you're just left with the final logo. Alright, so I hope that makes sense so far. Let's undo these changes real fast. Alright, so that's for the tagline and the logo positions. Now we move on to colors. The second adjustment layer will be the colors. And the first one will be the animal. Alright, and let's see if I change this color. You can see what this changes. And there's a second outline for the panther here, and you can also change the color individually for that, so you can make some cool color combinations like so. Let's see, the lining will be this lining surrounding the panther. You can also change the color for that. Particles will also be these moving particles here, and also the particles in the beginning when the panther transforms or sort of reveals itself. Change the color for that, and you can see as I move towards more of a light version of the color that I choose, how this changes. Or you can also disable some layers entirely if you choose a complete black color. So that's something to keep in mind also. So you can move around your cursor to figure out a nice balance for your colors. Let's see, logo lining will be the logo reveal part. Let's take a look over here, and alright, so the lining here, change the color for that. Then the logo electricity, which is this lingering electricity that's after the explosion. Change the color for that. And also change the particles that fly, like so. So that's pretty much it. These are all the editing settings and options that you have. After you've done everything, you can see that there's also a sound effects layer here, and if you don't want this or want to use the soundtrack or whatever, you can go ahead and just simply delete this layer. But if not, you can leave it. And after you've done making all of your edits, you can go to composition, pre-render. And here inside output module, you can click on custom AV and select your format. You can go with H.264, which is what I recommend. Inside format options, you can crank up your quality here, so maybe 150 and 300. Alright, profile high, levels 5.1. Hit OK. Don't forget to select audio output if you want to export the video with sound effects. Hit OK, select your file location by clicking here, and then render, and you're done. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you got an idea of how to edit this template. Thanks, bye.